Welcome to Conversations with Kay. I'm Kay Ryder, and every week I talk with Vermonters who are leaders in the fields of government, healthcare, education, the arts, and community life. My guest is Vicky Smith, who is the CEO of the King Street Center, and also a special welcome to her and to our radio listeners at WBVT LP 99.3 FM. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you, Kay. Thanks for having me. I look forward to conversation.
Well, I do too. I love to talk to people, so it's fun for me too. How long have you been the executive director at King Street, Vicky?
I have been executive director since 2007. It's
Well,
gone fast.
That's going right up there. Did you work at the King Street Center before you became executive director?
I did. I had worked for a number of years as the program director under the former executive director, Roxanne Leopold. So I really had a sense of all those inner workings from a program lens.
Of course, Roxanne was a ball of fire.
Yes.
And she did a great deal for our community.
She did, not just, within King Street, but community as a whole. It really extended outward. She was a great mentor to me. Right.
Well, she's a nice woman and knew a lot. Absolutely.
She did and does.
Yeah.
She still is an angel on my shoulder, and we do communicate frequently.
That's nice. Say hi to her.
I will.
Okay. What is the mission of the King Street Center?
I'm so glad you asked that question because we have a new mission
Oh,
statement.
well.
So it is King Street Center creates a place for kids through learning, play, and community. And I love it. We worked hard to come up with a refreshed mission statement which really captures where we've been, who we are now, and importantly, where we're going to go. And I can remember it, we all can remember it, and we've really been living it. So I'm so glad you asked me what our
Repeat it
mission
again.
is. King Street Center creates a place where kids meet opportunity through learning, play, and community.
Well, that sounds great to me. I think that does encapsulate what you do.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
Now, what is your service area?
Our service area is, for our early ed program, the greater Burlington area, all neighborhoods of Burlington. But our school-age programs really are serving the downtown core and south end of the city. We have our great partners in the Sarah Holbert Community Center and the Burlington Boys and Girls Club, and they really are those other neighborhood-based entities in the New North End and Old North End.
Well, I really believe in services for young kids. So let's start by talking about your programs and the age groups that they serve. You have a large early education program. Now you list this as a 5-star licensed program. What does that mean?
So licensed means in order to offer a full day, full year early education program serving over a certain number of children, you have to be licensed by the state. So we have been licensed for many, many years in offering a structured early ed program. But 5 stars means that we have achieved the highest quality rating within Vermont's internal accreditation system, I would say. So it signifies to our teaching staff who work so hard to achieve it, but also the community as a whole, that we have met a standard of rigor in terms of our care and education of young children.
So if you were a restaurant, you'd be right up there.
We would be right up there.
5-star Michelin.
I agree, and I think we are. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Now your early ed program, let's talk about these things in your mission.
Right.
Your early ed program, how are they involved in learning?
Well, we are a Head Start collaborative partner first and foremost in that urgent mission to learn. But children are as young as 18 months up through age 5 are served in the context of our early Head Start program and our Head Start program. And the learning is, this is where the next word comes in, it's play-based. So the children's work, the children's learning is really through the world of play.
Right.
And so we have a very strategic way of doing that. Our teaching staff are licensed teachers. They're trained to be sensitive and open to the emerging ideas and sense of wonder that the kids bring to us. So they then translate that into their learning experiences every day. How does it relate to the world, the real world? How does it address their social emotional needs? And how does it support their familyness as well? And the community piece comes in with the early ed program, not just there, but all of our programs in terms of connecting them to the larger community through our partnerships, through our contract, for instance, with the Burlington School District. But it's not, I always say, it's not just about what goes on in the walls of King Street Center. Importantly, it's connecting them to outside those walls, to what's going on in the street.
Do you work with the families of the young children also?
We do, and our partnership with Head Start really allows for that wraparound approach. So in that work together, we're making sure that children have a medical home, a dental home, mental health services if needed for the child and or the family as a whole, which is so important. We have parent gatherings, parent meetings, parent conferences, of course, which are really conversations back and forth about what our teachers are seeing. But importantly, what are moms and dads seeing? What is important to them in terms of their child's learning pathway?
Now, how does someone sign up for the early ed program?
Right. Well, they really come in through the doorway of Head Start, because first and foremost our families must meet the eligibility criteria of Head Start. They also have to live in the city of Burlington. We have a very, I'd say, precious work with the Burlington School District. So because of that, because of the size of our program, we really do look to our neighborhood residents and our Burlington residents as those that we're serving in the context of our early ed program. So first, to get back to your question, first they come through Head Start, and then there's also some eligibility requirements through King Street Center, but they really are very simpatico.
Yeah. Now, how many children are served in that program?
8 families are served in our early Head Start program, and 15 families are served in our preschool, which is 3, 4, and 5-year-olds.
Yeah. So now the world of Burlington has changed. You have a lot of immigrant families now, and do you have translators on your staff?
We do not have translators on our staff, but we do work closely with interpreters through refugee resettlement, through AALV, Associates of Africans Living in Vermont. We also use a tool called the interpretation line, which is a phone line. So if it's a quick conversation or a quick piece of news we need to share with parents, we'll call the interpretation line, which is an interpreter on the phone who is able to converse with our parents in their first language, and we kind of go back and forth on the phone. Those are quicker conversations, but we work a lot with interpreters because it's, even though the children are fluent in English, you cannot and should not communicate through children to speak to the parents. It's really not very good practice.
Right. And it's amazing how they've done all kinds of studies. Young children can pick up a language, zip,
It's not something.
And adults just struggle. But,
I know.
You have to learn it by a certain age.
Yeah, I agree. I think the window may be up to about age 10. But we welcome these 18-month-old, 2-year-old children into our toddler program who really have not been exposed to English. Their home language is spoken at home, and they've not been in care before. And we just find it remarkable. Within a month, they're saying words, English words, and understanding their meaning. And then all of a sudden, the sentences come together, and then they can go back and forth with their home language and English. And they are the lucky ones to be bilingual, multilingual in our new global community.
Right.
It's really remarkable. I'm very jealous, honestly. Some of our youth speak five languages, and what an asset for them as they move through life.
Right, I'm talking with Vicky Smith, who's the executive director at the King Street Center in Burlington, Vermont. How many countries, approximately, do your students, your young folks come from? Do you know?
I don't know. An interesting question. I'd say at least 10. The number of languages spoken at the center are much higher than that. But let's just say it's a very wonderful, dynamic, and diverse community at King Street Center.
Now let's talk about something which I feel is extremely important. That's your after-school program.
Yes.
How old are the young folks in that program, Vicki?
After School Excellence refers to our after-school program for elementary school-age children, so ages 5 through 11 or 12. And you are right, it is critically important. It's our largest program at the center. Well, I don't know, I think that teen program is beginning to compete with the numbers. We have about 55 children enrolled, and they come to us really from Edmonds Elementary School and Champlain Elementary School. Those are the two feeder schools. But it's an incredibly rich program of learning, academic supports, enriching activities, filled with opportunity both inside King Street but out and about in the community as well through our various partnerships. Great staff. Every child's matched with a tutor, so they're able to sit one-on-one at least 1 hour a week, if not more, with a caring adult to read with them, to assist them with their homework, and just get to know them and be in relationship.
They talk about after-school excellence.
Yes.
Now, that's a good word, excellence.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned helping with their academic work that they need to do. And they're paired with the same person, is this true?
Generally, they are paired with the same tutor, yes, and it's all really managed by our full-time education director, Dina Murphy.
Well, I had 3 children. You have to offer something besides help with homework if you're going to have these students keep coming.
Absolutely. Dina not only connects the tutors with the expectations of their teacher in school. There are those constant conversations between them, but also gives great suggestions about what else tutors can do to build relationship, but also to be involved in purposeful activities, whether it's math games or movement while they're doing flashcards or just speaking about what they learned in school for the day. And in addition to tutoring, we do also have our boost time set aside in the schedule, the daily schedule, which is, again, for every child to be doing something that's deliberate and related to their schoolwork. So they have a double opportunity, every day boost time, but then at least once a month time with an adult, one-on-one time with an adult.
Yeah, I think that games are really marvelous. There's so many games now that are fun.
Right.
That you actually, again, it's play and you're learning.
Yeah.
And kids like competition.
They do, right.
Absolutely, they love it. They thrive on it. They like to do that. And
many of our tutors have, this might be their 3rd or 4th year working with a child, so they're really aging up with them. It's so fun.
Great.
The kids love it.
Yeah. Now, this is fun, and again, people are learning. And I'm talking with Vicky Smith, who's the executive director of the King Street Center in Burlington. And King Street is a great place for young people to come. Now, so now let's move on to the teens.
Yes.
Oh, that's another little category.
Yes.
However,
we're very fond of our.
Of course, we are. We're fond.
Yes,
You're fond of them. You've seen them grow up.
Yes, we remind ourselves.
That's right. We have to constantly.
Yeah.
But well, it's a time when you're starting to set your own goals.
Yeah, in a way, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but in a way it's a lot like toddlerhood. Their brains are really developing, they're separating from parents and establishing perhaps different peer groups. There's a great, Roxanne and I connected with a gentleman years ago who really helped frame the structure of our Teen Futures program, Dr. Michael Carrera, and he used this great illustration to illustrate the work of teens, which is, you know, the push and pull, come closer, but then also pulling away, like go away, and trying to find that balance. And I think that is the balance that we seek every day at King Street. Meet them where they are, figure out how we need to move in, but importantly, when we need to move out.
Yes, I was a Girl Scout leader for girls 11, 12, and 13. And the best way to describe it was, we don't need you, we don't want you. Where are you, Mrs. Ryder? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, the two things, the push me, pull you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Some days it can almost give you whiplash.
Yeah, you're not quite sure what mode they're in.
Right.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
true.
Yeah, right.
It makes it really interesting, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
have a
And
lot of
I think that age group is, I think they're fun in a way, because you can see them just starting to form their future.
Right. Really blossom and importantly, find their voice. And that, I think, is such a big piece of our work at King Street, is really giving them the message that they are important, we care about them, capable, competent, and their voice matters.
Okay.
We may not always agree. We may have constant conversations about it and a back and forth, but they need to know that we are there to listen and that we care about them, and we're somewhat of a guiding voice, but they're in partnership with us on that journey.
Now again, do they receive help with academic work while they're there?
Most definitely. Again, a number of tutors have aged up with youth in our Teen Futures program. They have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with a tutor, but we also have different group endeavors for our teens. We have a math group going on led by Alan Matson, who's a real math whiz and data wonk in our community. He has brought along other helpful adults, skillful adults, smart, and we have study times. Last year we actually had Sunday studies where we opened up the building for students to be tutored and have a quiet place
To hang out.
Yes, on Sundays. We will look at that again during the colder, darker months, but it was a great start in supporting youth around their academics. And we also have boost time incorporated into our daily schedule for Teen Futures as well.
Now, talk a little more about that.
About boost time.
Yeah.
So it's really, again, the message that this is a quiet place. Sometimes it's a little louder, but it's a place where we do have expectations that they will catch their breath and focus on their schoolwork, ask for help. Asking for help is a big skill to teach middle school and high school.
Knowing what you don't know.
That's right, and to be curious, and that it's absolutely okay to ask for help. It's not a competition. It's really about supporting their best self. So boost time is there for them to be reading, to get homework help, to explore something that they may be interested in. But it is a focused time, and not running around in the gym or doing art or the other enriching activities, which are also full bore in the context of that program. But this just is a 45 minutes to an hour of deliberate academic enrichment, and it looks different for every youth.
Yeah, geared for each person.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
wonderful.
Yes, and again, our education director, Dina Murphy, oversees that aspect and works very closely with our teen director, Joe Ruggles, and really all the staff.
Okay, you have a arts. Do you deal with the arts,
We do.
painting and things like that?
Yes, yes, and we at King Street are essentially generalists, so we don't really have those specific teaching artists on staff, but we do have the great benefit of partnering with Burlington City Arts, marvelous foundation, Friends for A-Dog, which has supported through a number of years different arts initiatives at King Street Center. So the Laura K. Winterbottom studio is quite busy and lively with a variety of art projects throughout the week.
That's good. That's really marvelous.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Vicky Smith. She's the executive director of the King Street Center in Burlington. Are volunteers a big part of King Street? I know that a lot of agencies, nonprofit groups have a lot of volunteers.
We do. We are lifted up every day by an enormous number of volunteers and enormous energy. If you walk into our front lobby, you'll see a whole wall of name tags of tutors and program volunteers and student interns and mentors who are coming in and out of the building every day. I knew when the volunteer program really became amplified when I didn't know them all anymore. And so I'm throughout the day constantly introducing myself and learning who they are and why they're on site. But our Community Outreach Director, Gabriella Tufo-Strauss, has done a remarkable job enticing talented people to come our way and be in service.
Great. Now, I want to talk with you about your mentoring program. Mm-hmm. This is an extremely important program. How do you go about matching a young person with an adult?
Yes, thank you. Our mentoring program is one of the oldest and largest mentoring programs in the state of Vermont. We are really proud, and we have always held on to mentoring as a core piece of our work at King Street Center. So again, every youth enrolled in After School Excellence or Teen Futures, we've really moved up the age range, have an opportunity to be matched with a caring adult. And mentoring requires a minimum of 1 year commitment, and anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week is the expectation. And we, again, managed overseen by our Community Outreach Director, Gabriella Tufo-Strauss. And she is out there constantly talking about the work of mentoring, thinking about recruiting. And once people are interested in mentoring, there's a very in-depth screening process. As you can imagine, wearing my ED hat and talking with our insurance broker, there's some risk involved. So we really, as best as we can, in the most thorough way, talk with our mentors about their hopes, their desires for what they think is a good match, and most importantly, make sure that the adults coming through the door are safe adults and caring adults. From that point, because Gabriella works so closely with our after-school and teen directors, she really has a sense of who the children and youth are. And so she's taking notes, she's mental notes, written notes about what floats the boat of this child, and also what's important to the parents. So there's a form that children fill out, all about me, that gives her a sense of what their likes, dislikes are. Are they a really active kid physically? Are they more of a introverted, or just love to read and take walks? And so the matching process can be quite lengthy, frankly. She is incredibly adept at what she does. She has a great gut read, and I think that's important too. And so matches could take anywhere from 2 months to 8 or 9 months.
And once the match is made, the mentor spends time with the young person, and they can just get to know one another, and the mentor exposes the young person to his or her life too.
Right.
And what they like.
That's
what
right.
they like to do.
Yes.
And they may just take walks, they may talk, they may go to a play together.
Right.
Whatever they do, they're together. And this is an adult that a young person can be with and just learn from them and enjoy them.
Absolutely. That's really the mission of the program. And it also gets back to the word in our mission, opportunity. It really can open up those horizons for children in a way that is just blossoming.
Right. Now, where would someone call to get information about King Street? I know you have a great website.
We do have a great website, and they could also call at our main number, 802-862-6736, and they would be connected with Gabriella.
And your website is?
www.kingstreetcenter.org.
Okay. Now, how is King Street funded, Vicky?
We are funded by by our Vermonters. We are a local organization, and we are primarily private funded, so not a federally funded agency.
Other than Head Start, you're not
other than
federal.
Head
Yeah.
Start, right. And we do receive child care subsidy to offset tuition in early ed and after school through the Child Care Financial Assistance Program, which is state funding that comes to us. But that's based on a parent's eligibility. It's not a grant that King Street Center writes. And beyond that, it is our caring, compassionate donors, family foundations, and individual donations.
And the United Way.
And we are a United Way member agency as well, yes,
Right.
long time.
Right. And I'm just curious, how is your United Way funding going?
Right now, United Way funding is a small thread of funding for King Street Center, about 7%, but so vitally important to us. It's been a long-standing, very steadfast relationship. And so our funding this past year was cut in some areas, early ed and after school teens, but bumped up in a new area at King Street, which is our food service program.
Okay.
The ability to provide full meals for all of our children.
That's good.
Our early ed program, the small kids have breakfast, lunch, and a snack. And so we have a full-time cook on staff.
That's good.
So supporting nutrition at King Street Center is vitally important, and fortunately, we're so grateful that United Way saw it that way as well.
Yeah. Okay, now, great opioid crisis in the state of Vermont. Has this affected your families in any way?
It has affected our families. More so, we see it in our early ed program and after school program with parents who are working toward recovery or have achieved recovery and are maintaining. So we do wrap our arms around families who are living with a substance disorder. We don't see at this point, and I hope we never will, but we don't see a number our youth struggling with addiction in that way. There is clearly experimentation with alcohol, tobacco, marijuana.
No. Briefly, you work closely with other agencies in the community.
We do, every day. Couldn't do our work without it.
Yeah.
Right.
No
We
question.
have very close partners with Burlington School District. We've mentioned Head Start, but we have other partners that come in and just leverage our resources. Shelburne Farms, the Flynn Center, the Audubon Center. I could really go on and on. Different foundations that support it. Aikido of Champlain Valley.
Enrichment for the young folks.
Absolutely.
Okay, quick question. What is the best thing about the King Street Center? I mean, you do a lot of things. What's the best thing?
I think the best thing is, again, getting back to that statement, it is about opportunity. We're looking to fill that gap. What do children and families with resources have access to? How does that build their life? How does it open their eyes and their aspirations and their hope? Well, we're trying to do that for children and families living with low income, living with other challenges that can get in the way of that access.
Well, I commend what you do, Vicki. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you a successful time again in the coming year. And thank you for joining us on Conversations with Kay.